Okay, I think this is working now. Oh, I'm a little bit frustrated because now the sun's going down. I spent like 25 minutes, 30 minutes filming the last one, and the card filled up, and I thought that I had erased it, but wait, why am I telling you guys this? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Welcome to more of Maeve. That's what's mattered. Ugh. That is what matters. I am tired because I was just talking for 25 minutes. Yeah, this is a new video series. Welcome to the chaos that it brings along. Welcome to speech patterns, which is something that you probably won't have any understanding of because I just talked about it in the last content. Cool. Again, welcome to more of Maeve. I hope that you are ready to learn and grow, to develop with me through this video series, to have a new understanding on life, to help foster great communities, to be the change you want to see in society and culture. But before I do that, I'd like to ask, have you drank enough water today? Are you hydrated? I know that I was outside a lot today. Sweat a ton. So cheers to water. And then the second question I have for you guys real quick is, have you stretched? Have you spent time to open up your body from sitting at that couch or chair from work all day? Have you taken a walk? Make sure you keep that in mind because it's important to have a good mind, which you can do by hydrating and having proper sleep and everything else, but also stretching. So making sure that you open your body up. All right, before I even get started as to what exactly this channel is about or what I'm going to talk about and all these different things, I think it's important to make sure that I make an appeal to the audience. So who am I? Why do you even want to listen to me? Am I a good storyteller? Am I even worth listening to? And I'm going to grab my notes real quick. I have 3 words written down pretty big on this piece of page in my notebook, and that is ethos, pathos, and logos. 3 Latin words, which are all appeals to appeals to audience, excuse me. So ethos. That is an appeal to an audience based on your status or authority. So whether you be a doctor, a professor, someone who has 15 years of experience welding materials or painting nails or doing hair, you have an appeal to that audience through your authority that comes through certifications, through learning, through however many years of experience and exposure that you've had. I know I want to trust a doctor because I don't have all the experience and understanding of how the inner workings of my body function. So I need to rely on people. And so I would like to make an appeal to authority based on my own certifications, my learning, the things that I've been through, which can then impose on you this understanding, not impose, but describe to you the things that I have been going through that give me the ability to make an appeal through authority. I'm thinking about light because the light is setting now, or the sun is setting now. Again, because I tried to make a recording 25 minutes ago. Pathos. What is pathos? That's an appeal to emotion. We are all mammalia. We are all part of the Homo sapien species. And so what does that mean? That means that the majority of us experience feelings and emotions and need to find ways to express them. And because we all have this human experience, besides a few rare individuals, for instance, people that are experiencing anhedonia, which is essentially like a psychological state that is induced based on depression or whatever else, where you don't experience any emotions at all, which really sucks. I know sometimes you guys might want to be like, I don't want to feel anything. Trust me, it's not as good as it seems. And then you also have like genetic conditions that an individual might have, such as being a psychopath, which is something that hinders your ability from a DNA level to experience emotions, as opposed to sociopathy, which is something that is induced in someone based on their experiences and lived experiences. So I would like to make an appeal to emotion as to you guys as to whether or not you have some religious background or trauma in that regard, that you have been through philosophical views maybe, and you have heated, philosophy is more logic-based, so I guess that's a little bit harder to have emotions around. Values and beliefs. Yeah, let's talk. Let's discuss. I have plenty of emotions surrounding that, and logic and emotions that brought me to where I am today, to the beliefs that I have, because I care about society. I care about the community that I'm in. I care about individuals that enter and leave my life and leave my space. I think that, or enter my space and leave my space. I think that's really important. And then finally, an appeal through logos, through reason. And that's where my heart is. I'm an engineer at heart. And I really appreciate logic. We have these axioms that we can all agree upon, these fundamental building blocks of what you could call truth. Although, what is truth? That's another topic we can get into, but not now, for later videos. Yeah, axioms. We all have axioms in our life that are fundamental building blocks, conceptual building blocks that we can then use to get to abstract, complex thoughts and communications and physical things as well. For instance, mathematics, geometry, it's based on axioms. It's based on, like Euclidean space is based on certain thoughts, such as parallel lines will always be parallel throughout all time, all space. A triangle in Euclidean space, the degrees always add up to 180. Logic has axioms that we all agree upon. The way that we drive our cars on the roads in the country that you live in have axioms or principles. That way things can function properly. That one's a little bit more of a loose example, but logic. I'm a fan of logic. So hopefully that would be the way that I can make an appeal to you most of all. And if you like that, then great, you're in the right place. All right, so we've done a little bit of an overview. Now I would like to say a little bit of another overview of the things that I would like to discuss in the current and upcoming videos that can begin to cement and make a foundation for who I am based on an ethos, a pathos, and a logos perspective. So an appeal to authority, emotions, and reason. Starting out with a major chapter of who I am. So I think that we can begin that by tackling, I have 4 different sections in here. First one is qualifications. So what lived experiences do I have in the sense of like schooling, college, university, grad school, going to technical training, learning music, learning how to drive a car, learning how to fly, whatever. All of these things are qualifications. They are lived experiences that can hopefully make an appeal to an authority perspective. The next one I think is really important are values. And I put a lot of thought into the values that I have and how it can help shape and structure my worldview and the people, or how I interact with people around me. And values often can be a hotly disputed topic. I mean, it's kind of at the center of like politics, for instance. People vote a certain way based on the things that they value and hold dear to their heart. And I'd like to make more of an appeal through emotion and through logic there. Age, I think, is also important. I also think that it's not important at the same time because of the fact that depending on what you've been through, the observations and things that you've learned from those observations, you can be an old person or comparable to the wisdom of an old person by the time you're 12, right? If you have that mindset. The Buddha talked about that. Jesus talked about stuff like that as well, because you have these learning processes and exposure to the world. And if you're just passively living, then you're not necessarily going to have the capacity to share your wisdom, even by the age of 50 or 60, right? Not everyone is going to have that mindset, but I would like to show and express the things that I've been through, the learning experiences and observations that I've had, and how we can better understand others as well, because it's important to make sure that we don't have that perspective that everyone is out to get us, everyone's out there to harm us, and whatever else. The final section is places I've lived and or experienced. So I might have lived in the place, but I might have been there enough or been around people that are directly from there enough to have an understanding of some of the general perspectives, concepts, whatever else that those people have been through. And their new world views and understanding, again, through an empathetic perspective and a logical perspective, why they do things differently. And then I can question myself and say, okay, why do I do the things that I do? Is it the best thing? Is it the best way? Is it the most optimal? Is it the most compassionate? Is it taking care of the world, the environment, what I mean? yeah, and I think it's important to set that up as well as me sharing those experiences and stories with you so you can have a better understanding of me. Next topic, outside of who I am, is my philosophical views, which philosophical views are, again, based on the qualifications I have, the values, how old I am, based on things I've come in exposure to, places I've lived, whatever else. The first one I would kind of like to discuss as well with philosophical views is, well, just before I go into it, there are common tropes in society based on age, which there connects into philosophical views, where you have certain, again, tropes of people at different ages have certain constraints put on them, and so they begin to foster certain philosophical perspectives. The Wes Anderson film, The French Dispatch, is a very good example of that. They have lots of different stories that are presented in there of people at different stages, of different, what do you call that? Different occupations that have different perspectives. And I think that, yes, it's easy for him to have written classic tropes in there, but I also think that through observation you can see that, for instance, people of my age in their mid-20s, early, whatever, late 20s, in their 20s, have a feeling of angst, a feeling of, what's their purpose? Lack of meaning. What can I do in my existence if I can't even buy a house, if I can't afford food, if middle class is slowly dissolving? So my philosophical views will be this way right now. I think that as I progress throughout time, next year, the year after, I will slowly begin to actually show, or you'll be able to see how they change, because I might gain a new purpose, or I might not even care about a purpose and will just start living and enjoying life as it hopefully should be. So where I'm currently at is metronoming back and forth between existentialism or nihilism and absurdism, which I think is one of the natural conclusions from existentialism and nihilism. So nihilism and existentialism is essentially like, what is the meaning? What is the purpose of it all? Is there a purpose of it all? Does it even matter? I am an ape with shoes that is hurtling through this universe, surrounded by nuclear bodies that power our solar systems and galaxies. Is there other life? Does it matter if there's other life? Will we ever be able to come in contact with other life? Will other life give us meaning, or is that just going to be another cool experience, or just an experience, period? I would want to label experiences as good or bad. They're just experiences at this point. Yeah, existentialism, where I then think the natural conclusion, at least for me, and logical conclusion, is absurdism, where it's like, okay, I have accepted the fact that there is no purpose, no meaning. I am here, and I need to just accept the fact that I'm here. So let's go with it. All right, cool. I'm going to do the things that I want to do because it'll either make me feel good or make other people feel good. I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm experiencing. And then does it matter if there's a purpose or a point at that point? No, because I'm living. And with living, what an ironic thing is that a fear of death can hinder one's ability to live. And I can get into the fact of struggling with depression and suicidal ideation is probably one of the best things that has ever happened to me, in the sense that if I just had depression, it would be really hard. If I just had suicidal ideation, that would also be really hard. But because I have them coupled, it essentially allows me to say, like, all right, since nothing really matters, I'm going to do the things that I've always wanted to try or always wanted to do before I at least die, right? It's worth a shot. It's worth gaining new experiences and living. The next portion that I'd like to talk about is also kind of a worldview, philosophical view, is Epicureanism or hedonism, or a facet of hedonism, which is Epicureanism. Epicureanism is essentially like the philosophy of finding peace and meaning and purpose by being surrounded by community and people that you value and cherish, and having shared experiences with them, and finding meaning and value in that. But also, it has an essence of hedonism because you're doing things that make you feel happy and that you enjoy. But I also based on the way that I've grown up, I grew up in a lot of pain and suffering, and I don't feel like it's always right for me to feel pleasure and happiness. And so I'm a little bit put off by the idea of hedonism, because I think that being in this passive state of comfort and peace and whatever else and happiness, it can hinder the ability for one to learn and grow and get out of this state of comfort and into new states of learning and being and growing and pain and struggle and heartbreak and whatever else that gets you to learn new things and have new perspectives. So that's one of the places that I'm in as well. And then the concept of free will. Do we even have free will? Do we get to pick our desires? Do our desires ultimately lead to our actions? Great questions. Why don't we talk about that sometime in a future video? The next one is religious background. I think that based on where I grew up, the Western world, our primary religion here is Christianity. And guess what? I didn't just grow up in some normal run-of-the-day Christianity. I grew up in a cult. So that's pretty nifty, right? So I'd like to discuss some of the stories that I've had from that, some of the experiences that I've had, and how I've learned from it, the perspectives that I had throughout my life, and why I chose to accept and learn certain things, because I was pretty conscious. I was not always conscious, but there were certain times that I was and had consciousness over some of the actions and beliefs that I had. But guess what? I wasn't always in a Christian cult. We eventually got out, and you know where we turned to? Judaism. I had a bat mitzvah. I have a parent who eventually, I guess, did family research and believes that they have Jewish heritage, and so that's why we went into that direction. I lived in Israel for 4 years, not with my family, but by myself. That was a great experience and also a bad experience. There are a lot of new experiences that happened to me in that place, and I think that'd be cool to document it. But it also allows you guys to see and maybe empathize, or through pathos, right? The emotional side. Maybe feel some of the things that I feel, or feel some of the struggles that I feel, because you might have experienced it as well. And I'd love for you to share it in the comments down below. And eventually we can hopefully foster a community online, whatever else, where we can all support and share and learn and grow together. The next one is socioeconomic status. I think socioeconomic status is one of the key components. So essentially, how much wealth your family tends to have inside of a given society. So relative to that society, what is your status? I think that it's more important, honestly, to have, or socioeconomic status is more important of a factor given to one's life, to just determine their education, their success in life. I mean, money makes money, and if you have more money, you'll make a lot more money. Stuff like that. Essentially, my socioeconomic status growing up, I did not realize until later on when I was in college and taking a sociology class. I did not realize that I grew up in what the federal government in the United States considers extreme poverty. About halfway through my life, I guess now at this point, a little over halfway, my family was able to leave that point, and we pivoted to middle class. Then I went off to college and moved away from home, and lived in poverty for the next 8 years-ish. And now I've gotten to a point, huge jump out, and I'm in the middle class area, but also the middle class is slowly getting devolved, or it's devolving, which is due to corporate greed and chaos and lack of government policies and whatever else. And again, greed, money. Oh man, excuse me. Apologize for that. Yeah, so socioeconomic status. I think that's important for me to relay that to you. That way you can have an understanding of my perspectives on the world. Next section is plans for this channel. I think that it's important not important, but I would like to share stories through my life. And we can make observations of those stories and figure out things that you can learn, how to have empathy for others that you've interacted with, if they've treated you wrong, or if maybe you haven't treated them in the best way, because you now have a new understanding on the things that they did in an interaction that you've had, or an observation that you've made about other people. Story time, I think that'd be really cool. Observations, again, I think that can be coupled into story time a little bit because it's more so about, well, it's going to be a heavier focus on the things you can learn and grow from. Story time is more going to be focused around just physically, or not physically, but verbally getting the story out. My own growth and things that I've learned, I think. So for instance, an example of that is stretching. I just recently got a stretching tool that has helped me to improve the way that my body feels, and I feel a lot better. And I think that if I share that with you, you guys might also be able to feel better. And I like to share ways that you can do that in an affordable manner as well. Like, you don't have to go out and buy these things or do these things at a place you have to pay to enter, like a gym. Or for instance, the fact that I've struggled with dyslexia. And one of the things I realized is the way that I used to write, I got confused with the letters that I had written, or the numbers that I had written, and confusion between some of the similar looking characters. And so what I eventually did when I was in college and got frustrated enough at it because of the fact that I was not getting as high grades on my exams because I made really foolish mistakes that were connected directly to dyslexia, I changed the entire way that I wrote. I changed and made corrections to the characters that I wrote out to make my life better. And that's a thing that I learned. The next thing is community. I think it'd be really cool to foster a community, maybe through a Discord, through, well, I'm at early stages of this, maybe through a Patreon as well. High hopes for the channel, right? I think if anything, though, this is going to be primarily focused around me giving myself therapy through relaying this information out there. And I'd love for it to turn into something better and greater than myself, where again we could foster a community and have like check-ins and things that we have learned we can share with others in this space. And I think one of the really cool things about community is the fact that because we are connected through internet now, we have such great tools at our disposal to actually utilize and come in contact with new ideas, new people, new places, whatever else. I've met so many people in real life that I have initially met through Discord. And they're great people. They've done road trips. I've done road trips. I've visited them. I've gone to camping. I've gone on camping trips and whatever else. And I think that if you do it in a careful and safe manner, you can actually gain new experiences and new people and expand your horizons and community. The next final thing is more like a check-in. So both a check-in towards myself, but also a community check-in in the sense of this example that I give here. Have you guys ever heard of the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1? This is a good body check-in for you to do by yourself, which I will lead you through it right now as an example, to help you get more centered and focused with where you're currently at. It's a practice of mindfulness. So you start with 5. What are 5 things that I can see? I can see this fluffy little microphone. Oh, I can see the fluffy little microphone. I think it makes sound if I do this. Sorry. I can see a lamp right here, hopefully casting enough light onto my face since I've been sitting since the sun has started going down. I see a plant sitting over there on the shelf. I see my water bottle. I see the nice fuzzy carpet beneath me. 4. What are 4 things that I can hear? Yes. I hear the road and all the cars driving by. I hear the air conditioning pumping in nice, clean, and fresh air into my room, and cool air, thankfully. I hear the motor and the fan above me slowly whirring away as it pushes air around my room as well. And I hear the sound of my own voice. And I hope that you guys enjoy the sound of my own voice as well, or at least it's tolerable. 3. What are 3 things that I can feel? I'm going to do it again. I can feel the fuzzy microphone cover. I feel the cotton on my pants. I can feel the soft skin on my face, or at this point, it's sweaty. 2, what are 2 things that I smell? I smell the clean, fresh air of the environment around me. Oh, and I can smell my own voice. I can smell my own breath. Okay, I really need to take a pause because I have to use the restroom. Please forgive me. Okay, I'm back. But wait, I said please forgive me. I was paying attention to my own bodily functions as I was practicing mindfulness. I revoke that forgiveness, or that ask or request for forgiveness. 2. What are 2 things that you can smell? I smell again the clean, fresh air. And I smell my voice. And then finally 1, what is 1 thing that you can taste? Typically people say that I've watched and observed, if you don't have anything, you can lick your wrist and taste your wrist. But I'm going to taste my water and continue to hydrate. There you go. I feel more aware of the things that I'm feeling, more aware of my surroundings, more aware of my consciousness of the things that I want to think about, the things that I am thinking about. All of the above. Thank you for joining me. I hope that you have found something out of this video, something that you've learned, hopefully in your experience. Hopefully you'll join me on this journey as I continue to make content. Leave a comment down below if you have any questions. If you want to make a comment, obviously, put them in the comment section. If you have your own stories to tell, if you have things you might want me to make a video about in the future, but I don't expect any of these things at this time. I'm just starting out, and I don't even know if anyone's going to watch this. And if you do watch it, well, thank you again. And if not, it's just me making a video journal to myself. It's my form of a therapy. It's my form of communicating with a family member or communicating with a friend, of talking to a therapist, of journaling. And I think that these are all easily accessible, besides potentially the therapy, which if you don't have money to grab a friend, pull a family member, you have the capacity, no, you deserve the space to share and discuss the things that you feel or maybe might be struggling with a friend or a family member or someone online. I hope that you have gained some maybe new perspective or have some excitement for what the future might hold from this channel. And, subscribe if you would like. It could help this community begin to grow. If you think that you're going to get anything out of it. Yeah, I really appreciate it. Thanks for listening. Thanks for commenting. Thanks for coming and joining me. This has been More with Maeve, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.